useful to kind of go through the basic 13, just because I thought it'd be good. So basically what I'm using is Atom here. I have the basic 13 showing up over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through them one by one relatively quickly. But what I would encourage you to do if you don't feel comfortable doing them, I would basically repeat these things and talk yourself through each one of them until you can do them. So let's just start off with the first one. So print 1 to 255. Print all the integers from 1 to 255. So def, and I'm going to do all of these functions. So in Python, so print 1 to 255. And it's not going to take any parameters. And all we're going to do is say, okay, so we've got these values that we want to print out. There are a number of different ways to do this. But what I'm going to do for now is for I in range 1, 256. So range is inclusive of this value and exclusive of this value. And print I. Great. Whoops. Sorry, my autofill is being annoying. Great. So there's that. Cool. So now in order to get this to work, we want to just run it. Print 1 to 255 and invoke it. So invocation occurs with these pair of parentheses. All right. So not very exciting. I'm going to run these things using Atom, but if I were not using Atom and I wanted to run them from my terminal, and I'll run this first one through my terminal. So here's my terminal. First I want to make sure that it's visible. So ls, and this is my file that I'm going to run. So this is a Python file. So Python basic13.py. And then when it runs, it's going to print everything. There we go. So there's all the prints. Yay, us. Cool. All right. The rest of the time I'm going to use Command I in Atom and just use a package called scripts, or script, sorry. And it's just this command there. All right. So same sort of thing. And there it is. All right. It makes our development process a lot faster to do it from Atom, so I don't have to toggle back and forth. All right, so that was Command I. Cool. So print odds to 255. Def print odds. All right, so how we want to do this? We can do it the same way, but let's do another piece of range. And in theory, we should actually be using a property called xRange, which doesn't store things as a list, but it just stores things in general. Or it doesn't store things, it just kind of dynamically reads them. So 1, 256, and we want to print just the odd ones. And so there's a number of ways to do this, as I said. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to step this range up by 2 each time. So instead of going up by 1, I'm just going to go up by 2. So I know odd numbers starts at 1, and they go up 1, 3, 5, 7, yada yada. All right, so print I. And then rather than running this function, I'm just going to print odds. Print odds. All right, there we go. All right, so there are the odd numbers in Python. Cool. Close that on up. All right, print ints and sum to 255. So print the integers from 0 to 255. We've already done that. I'm just going to sum the integers from 0 to 255. All right, so def print sum to 255. All right. In order to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the variable sum and start it at 0. Great, there's our 0 sum. Now, we already know how to print 1 through 255, but basically instead of printing it, we're just going to add it to sum each time. So I'm just going to copy this line of code, bring it on over, and say sum plus equals. So add I to what was in sum each time it goes through this loop. So basically what was going to happen is we're going to have, sorry guys, I adding to the sum and goes through once. So starts off at 1, sum is 0, 0 plus 1 is now going to be, sum is going to come out and be 1. All right, so now comes through, I is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, and it keeps going like that. So now we have 3 plus 3, 6, 6 plus 4, 10, 10 plus 5, 15, yada yada. All right, and then we're going to return the sum. So return's kind of cool, and basically what it says is when this thing's done, the value of this entity is what gets returned. So we can't just say print sum this time, or sorry, we can't just call this function because that is the sum. So that's great that it's the sum, but it's not actually doing anything at this point. So let's run it. I'm going to comment this one out. And notice we don't get anything returned here, so nothing happened. Well, that's not true. Something happened. It created this memory space briefly and said, hey, this thing is whatever the sum is. This is that final value. But we didn't do anything with it. So what we want to do is we want to print it. And there it is. So that value there, 32,640, is the sum of 1 to 255. There's other ways to do it. We could have done the whole add 1, take half, multiply strategy. And that would have been a faster way to do a sum from x to y. If we wanted to print out the running sum, we could have done that as well. So the running sum would be print I plus, or comma, and then we maybe make a space sum, and then comma, sum. And this will be a running sum. And there it is. So 255 is that last one that we're about to add. And the current sum at that point is 32,385. And then when we add 255 onto it, we get 32,640. 32,640. So just to make that actually work correctly. There we go. Cool. All right, so next one. Print ints and sum to 0 to 255. So that's just basically what we did. I don't know why I'm re-talking about it. All right, so print array values in a given array. All right, so again, we're going to make this as a function. So def print array values, and we're going to pass it a list. So again, this is Python. Arrays are the analogous data structure in Python. Sorry, the JavaScript analog is a list. So list equals array. All right, so we're going to say my list. So we could confirm that it's a list and say if type my list is equal to list, do something. All right, first of all, let's just make sure that that actually works. So we want to make sure that this Boolean conditional is true. So we can print the Boolean by itself. So this is going to return either true or false. So this double equal says, hey, is this actually the case? This is going to be some sort of type. And then list, hopefully, is a data type that we can do comparisons to. All right, so let's try it and see. So print, and we're just going to take this part of it. So as I said, this part should return true or false. If it returns false, then we're going to have to change that logic. All right, so let's run it, print array vals, and we have to pass it a list. So 1, 2, 3, that's a list. So notice square brace, 1, 2, 3, end square brace. So we're putting this in as an argument into this parameter. All right, true. So that thing is a list. What happens if we try to put something that's not a list in there? Like banana. All right, so this is a string, right? So hopefully this will return false. False, perfect. So that first step we did is we made sure that this thing is actually type list. So now we can do this logic. If type my list is a list, then what we want to do is we want to go through and print each individual value in that list. So for value in my list, this part of it can be anything you want. It could be, we can call it whatever, cake, integer, vanilla bean, one word, one letter, or sorry, one word, or a string that all fits together. And I think it cannot start with a number. All right, so print value. All right, so in the case that we're passing it 1, 2, 3, we should hopefully print out 1, 2, and 3, and we do. Let me comment this other piece out, the sum piece out. And if we pass it something like stringy food, right? So that's a string inside of a list. So that's the 0th element of the list. 42, that's the first element of the list, and 44. That's the second element in the list, by index. So this is actually the first element, second, third, but by index, this is the 0th element, first, second. All right, so I made some sort of invalid syntax, and it says where. So notice this caret right here, where my cursor is kind of popping in and out. That caret is showing me there's some sort of valid and invalid index or element there. Let's just get rid of it and rerun it. Great. So cool. I'm going to stop this part for now. I didn't want to get too long. But again, if you're not feeling comfortable with the basic 13, what I'd suggest doing is basically going through this stuff as many times as you need to get this stuff down, like tonight. So again, if you want to use the packages script, that's totally fine. So if you're using Atom, go to Preferences, go to Install, search for script, and then you can download it and add it. Awesome. If you're not using Atom and you don't have some sort of script runner, it's just as fine to go through and say Python, the name of the file. So make sure that you're in and can see the file so that you're at a level where you can actually see the file when you do list, ls. So if you can see the file, then you can run the file. So basic13.py in this case is my file name. Python basic13.py. And there we go. There's the same printout that I was seeing when I was doing my other printout. It's just a little bit slower. All right.